Action! Welcome back to Careful Boys. Today we are continuing the story of Angel, who is a former member of the Special Operations. He did not make Delta. Is that true?
Nope. Did not make Delta.
Just want to be clear about that. Yeah, so take it away, brother.
God.
Where did we leave off?
We left off with
Right when he's on.
going to RASP, which is their selection.
Yeah. So I went to RASP and
How much harder is RASP than like regular boot camp or regular basic training?
extremely hard. Extremely hard.
Like you gotta do more jumping jacks?
like more than that.
Burpees even.
It's a lot of long heavy rucks. A lot of you run everywhere. Like
What's a long heavy ruck?
so 55 pounds. With all.
Oh, rucksack?
Yeah. And you run everywhere, so it's like, yeah, you're gonna go work out, but you gotta go run to go work out. And then after you get killed over there, you're like, okay, you gotta run to breakfast. And then after breakfast, you gotta run here. You're like, fuck, man. And it's all in boots, and
So you're running in boots, no sneakers, just boots the whole time.
yeah. And they do team building exercises. They do mental toughness things. Now, because of social media, RASP now has like a YouTube channel. So they just did a video to kind of like promote Rangers and because nowadays everything's seal this, seal that, right? So they're like, hey, we gotta step up our content game. And so you got now get a glimpse, because back then there was no YouTube videos, there was no thing. So you went in there kind of dark. You're like, fuck, how do I train? Do I run more? Do I ruck more? What do I do? So the way I prepped for it, I was just like, okay, I know there's like certain standards. Like, okay, you got to be able to run 5 miles in less than 40 minutes. So, and even if you run
I failed already.
run it like close to 40, like that's
not good enough.
That's not good enough.
Yeah.
And that's what Ranger Regiment is. It's like, okay, the standard is 40, and let's say you did 39 in 40 seconds, they'd be like awful. I did 32 minutes, and I was considered in the middle.
So that's a 6-minute mile for 5 miles.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And and then we would have like
This
these,
is what he's talking about. This is some of the RASP stuff. Hold on a second.
Probably some bullshit.
I already saw it.
Make it up like a bullshit.
Toughest shit in the game. Not easy. Difficult shit.
What the fuck did you type to get that? How'd you find
I typed in ballerina school.
Fucking stupid.
No. Here it is right here. I was waiting for the ad to finish.
Ballerina.
That's an ad? What the fuck?
No. There was an ad on this one. There was an ad. This is just Fort Benning. I can skip ahead a little bit. Guy likes his drone shots, I guess. Jesus.
Go to the most replayed.
Yeah. So this kind of shit.
Yeah.
So how long are your days? Is the training days like 18-hour days? Like how many hours of sleep do you guys get?
It's like a Spartan race every day.
After it's all said and done, maybe 5, 6.
Wow.
And then, so all that.
Yeah, it looks like a Spartan race every single day, non-stop.
Bro, that's what my friends were like, hey, let's do a Spartan race. I'm like, no. Bro. Oh, yeah, bro. Little to no sleep. They give you land nav points where it's a stake, like 3 feet high. So it's not like, oh, I can see my stake a mile away. I can just walk to it. It's like, okay, in the pitch of dark, here's your coordinates. Map it out. Here's a compass. Come back as the sun's coming up. You better come with 5 points. You got X amount of time, and go. And you're just like,
Gotta go find it.
map, compass, walking in the dark. And the next thing you know, boom, if you do everything correctly, my stake is right there. And we would try to help each other out, like with our we call it a rubber duck. So it's a AR, or an M4, but it's rubber. And you like kind of like smack the pole so you can hear, so your buddies can hear, like, hey.
Oh, if they're like kind of off, they can get back on.
Oh wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I would do that. I'd be like, oh, sorry, or I'd make a lot of noise or something like that. But it was a lot of shooting to the point where at the end of the day, you're like, fuck, man, I don't want to shoot anymore. We shot fucking hundreds and hundreds of rounds today, and then the next day we got to do it again. But it's like, that's how you become an expert, right? You do the basics very well over and over, that it looks like we're doing something extra, but it's not. They don't teach us how to curve bullets or any of that. We're just doing the basics over and over. You become a master of the basics. And that's really what special operations is.
Why don't they teach you how to curve bullets? That would be so sick.
That would be.
You're talking
tight.
about where you jump like a
Wanted.
John Woo movie. Yeah.
Wanted.
Yeah, Wanted.
Yeah. So then I made it to 1st Battalion, and my leadership, my first.
RASP is designed for people to quit too, though, right?
Oh yeah. So
How many people did you guys start with, and how many did you end with?
so we 215, and then we graduated in '97.
So like half is gone.
Yeah.
Damn.
But it's, to be honest, passing RASP was easier than staying in. The standard is so high, the stress is so high. You can't fuck up at all, and if you fuck up sooner or later, they're gonna kick you out. Or dudes even just kind of just quit and say, hey, I want to leave regiment, because they think oh, I made RASP, fun time starts. Fuck no, dude. You're talking about dudes who've been in the game for a long time, deployed multiple times, and are really good at their job. So if you got to keep up. And as a new guy, there's no let the new guy kind of, he's a new guy, it's okay. It's fuck no, bro. You better be a quick learner.
How long is RASP?
8 weeks. And then I also had to go to airborne school, because when I went in, I was already a sergeant, right? So my pipeline was a little different. So I had to go to pre-RASP with 3 weeks, RASP 8 weeks. Then I had to go to airborne school. And then after airborne school, I went to a master breacher course, which is a regimental master breaching course where we blow up walls, vehicles, bank doors, all types of stuff. And
So it's the stuff that you see in the movies where they blow the doors off of vaults and shit.
Yep. So the bank thing is they made a bank to standard wall, and then if our kind of job was okay,
Breach it.
breach it, and stuff like that. And then we had
You guys have the thing where it's looks like a series of clay, and you go like this. Boom, 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 boom.
not quite.
So it's not like the Italian job, huh?
But something like that.
Did they ever test you? Because you had the vault there and you could just blow it up, but did anybody just try opening it real quick? Oh, this guy's more street smart.
We didn't have the door, we just had the wall. So go through the wall. And then CERT, which is small unit Ranger tactics, and then after that Ranger school. And so I did all that within a year.
Back to back to back to back.
Back to back. And the way they told me, because they consider me prior service, as in I'm not coming in fresh from civilian world with a Ranger contract and going through, I'm prior service. They're
You deployed? Is that what that means?
Yeah. So I'd already spent some time in the military, so they were like, hey man, no offense, but since you're prior service, and we've had a lot of prior service guys quit, you're kind of leasing to own right now. So every time I passed something, I never felt like I was part of regiment, because they were like, bro, you have to pass everything, and then you get a slot. So I was doing all this stuff for a year, and then after I graduated Ranger school, that's when I was like, boom, now it's done. Now I'm part of regiment. And my first chain of command was Sergeant Solis. And Sergeant Solis is, if I remember correctly, he is the last person to earn the Medal of Honor. So that's who I was fortunate enough to fall under, and he was pouring all this.
Which is the highest military award anyone can get. Most people that earn it are dead.
Yeah, and he,
I
Posthumously.
played the video game, dude.
We know.
I know that.
Did you jump on a grenade or something?
No.
It's usually some crazy shit though. It's usually some crazy machine gun over there. This guy grabs a car door, is fucking surfing on the car door while stabbing people 20 times, takes 5 bullets, plucks them out, sticks them in their eyes. And if you read all the
Is that the cat who?
Medal of Honor stories are crazy.
Yeah, is that the cat where there's drone footage of him killing a bunch of people?
No.
Okay.
That was another. That was a guy who used to be a Ranger, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so
There you go.
got it in Afghanistan, and he was killed in Afghanistan. But that's who I was fortunate enough to be under and learn a lot, right? So I was really lucky to know him. And then I got out, and then when I got out, it was kind of like I was kicking and screaming to get out, to be honest, because one day
Get out of the special forces?
yeah, get out of the military.
In general, so you didn't go from Ranger back to regular. You
No.
just got out completely.
Got out completely. Time flew, One day I was back again at the regimental master breacher course, but not as a student, now as an assistant instructor. And I get a call from Solis, and he's like, hey dude, you're 9 months out from your ETS. ETS is when my contract ends. And he's like, hey, are you gonna re-up or are you gonna get out? Because if you got a if you're gonna get out, you should need to start out processing a year out, so you can do all these little classes and stuff like that. Because back in the day, when your time was up, it'd just be like, all right, thank you for your service. Hope you have a plan.
Hope your civilian life goes good.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to make you do classes, resume classes, and stuff like that, and so they're like, you have to start ETSing, or ACAPing. And I was like, fuck, man. And I'd missed the birth of my son, of my daughter. I was in Afghanistan, so I'd missed a lot of my kids and my family. And I told my wife, I know Leah, she has been super supportive the entire time I was in the military. She never gave me shit. She always, anytime I had to go do this or do that, she was like, how can I help you? What can I go do? And one thing I told her, I was like, after I missed the birth of my second kid, I was like, I promise, when AJ goes to school on his first day, I will be there. So, when that call happened, I called my wife, and I was like, hey, Celise, I'm actually 9 months out. She's like, well, are you gonna get out like you said? And I didn't want to. I mean, I'm in the special operations community. I'm surrounded by great people, in a great organization. But I'm like, damn, I'd missed the birth of my son, but I did the math. My son was 5, and I'd been stateside for 2 years of that. And that's stateside as in just in the country, not
even in the city. Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck. I was like, all right. So I decided to get out, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to school to become a registered dietitian, because no one in my family has gone to college, and I want my family to see, like, yes, we are hard workers. We wake up and we fucking grind it out, but guess what? We're smart too, and we can do the whole book thing and this and that. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out and be a registered dietitian. And I got out. I was going to school, and I was killing it, because when I was an active duty ranger, I was actually competing also in Muay Thai and kickboxing.
The same time?
Yeah. So I got out. I found a gym, classic fight team, and I started training there. Started going to school, and I applied myself like I did in the military. In high school, I failed everything, but I had now a certain work ethic and stuff like that. So now I'm getting, A's and B's in college. And
what do you think gave you that work ethic?
My leadership, I would say my leadership. I'm a combination of all the mentors I've had, right? So I do all this stuff, but this isn't like a me thing. I'm just an accumulation of them, to be honest.
Like what they've been able to instill in you.
100%. But then, I called it the storm. After a couple of weeks, all the stuff that I was kind of suppressing, like being deployed, and my friend Pinnick, who weeks before we deployed, he's at my house. We're having carne asada, and I'm playing with his daughter, is killed, and I didn't cry, and I didn't do anything about it, because I was like, bro, I'm still deployed. I gotta focus on this. I'm a sergeant. I gotta take care of my guys. I'll deal with that later, and then another friend dies, and then another friend gets hurt, and all this stuff. So, and then my wife, she was very supportive, but I've not been the best. I was a good Army dad, but I wasn't a good dad, and I wasn't really a good husband, because I put my wife and kids not even second, third, or fourth. I put them last, and because the way I would see it is like, look, I'm getting ready to go to war. My job is number one, my team number two, anything associated with my team. So I was just so hyper focused on war that they fell short. So
you almost have to, because you're trying to stay alive.
Yeah, you have to. But there are some moments where I could have maybe, hey, not gone out with the boys, not taken that extra course that, to be honest, didn't do shit for my career, but I just wanted to be that guy. Like, you need a guy to go, I'm going. And, it was funny, because before I got out, I called one of my friends, and I was like, hey, man, you're out, and I heard these horror stories of veterans having a tough time and killing themselves and then this and that. And I'm like, hey, man, you've been out for like a year, like, what should I expect? And we were close, but we weren't that close where he can open up. And all he told me was like, be ready for the storm. So when I got out,
shit, it sounds crazy.
I call it the honeymoon phase, right? Everyone's happy, you're back home, your kids are happy to see you. And I remember thinking, oh, the storm thing that my friend was talking about doesn't apply to me. And not that long, it all fucking hit. All everything that I was suppressing, everything that my wife was not. Next thing you know, I'm on the verge of getting divorced. I got out so I can be with my wife and kids.
It's all the stuff you didn't get a chance to deal with, huh?
Yeah.
And now it all like compiles.
It's all coming out. It's all coming out. And I'd known my wife since I was 7 years old. So like she's like my best friend. So now I'm not with my best friend. I'm sleeping in a futon. Because when I'm going to school, you get paid. You get good education benefits. They pay for your books, your tuition, but they also give you a housing allowance. So I was getting about $3,900 a month just to go to school. But what I didn't know is that in between semesters, they don't give you that. So now all of a sudden I'm like, fuck, I gotta make money. So now I'm working at a fucking acai bowl place in between semesters, getting yelled at by teenagers in Newport Beach. So I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You're sleeping on a futon.
Do you ever just want to just kill them?
Imagine it.
All the time.
Yeah, I bet.
You know?
I could choke your bitch ass face right now. Like,
For this fucking country, dude.
and you're like, would you like more? And more strawberry kiwis? Yeah.
And I remember asking myself, like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You used to be a ranger. You had a house. You were fucking 24 in the special operations community, the best of the best. Now you're sleeping on a fucking futon. You work at a acai bowl place. You know you're not even with your kids. And I was like, fuck, man. And I realized, okay, I gotta do something. I'm fucked up. I gotta do something. So I was like, you know what? Okay, what is going on? And I realized two things. I had lost my purpose, and a man without a purpose is a lost individual. I think I lost my community. People call it a tribe, whatever it is, and so I lost both. So I'm like, okay. And I realized, like, yo, bro, you gotta handle, with your emotions. My emotions were kind of like everywhere. And I was like, all right, so I was starting to go see a therapist. I was like, okay, I need to find a community. So I started inviting all the, as I was going to therapy, I then gained my family back, right? So we got an apartment, and I'm like, okay, I needed my community and a purpose. So I started inviting veterans from my martial arts gym in school. I'm like, hey, come watch the UFC fights with me. I'll buy the food, I'll buy the drinks. And I did that, and all of a sudden I'm making friends. And it's kind of hard as an adult to make friends, because when I got out, I didn't want to hang out with the old dudes that I used to hang out with, right? So, that's essentially what I was doing. Like, hey man, you want to be my friend, you want to hang out, let's drink beer and watch the UFC. And I was doing that, and veterans were coming up to me and being like, bro, like, you have no idea what these events mean to me. And I was like, bro, I do. Like, I do.
Not for you, it's for me.
I'm lonely, okay? So come hang with me.
But that's true though, like I was doing these things, but I was getting something out of it too, and also it feels good to do good things. And but then my wife, fast forward to like 2 years, and my wife's like, look, like, we can't keep doing these events. Like, we keep going negative to our account, or we're barely making rent. And she's like, because I'm pregnant, we have another baby coming in, and we can't feed another mouth and keep doing this. And I'm like, fuck, man, she's right. But at that point, I already had a community. I already had, a purpose, and this was my purpose, right? I came out, and I didn't understand when I would see veterans, and they would be a fraction of what they were in the military, right? They had PTSD, they couldn't transition, and I'm like, bro, why is it that they can't? I could, right? I had a little storm, but I got out of it, and I continued to be successful in life. But I'm like, fuck, well, let me help them. So that's my purpose. But she was right. I couldn't keep doing this. So I'm like, okay. But at that point, I already started sharing my combat footage, and I started gaining a following. And then me being a pretty small guy, dudes would message me, and it was basically the same message. It would be like, hey man, no offense, but like, you're small. So how did you make it in the special operations community? This is 2016. Now there's RASP videos, there's all these workout videos, but back then there was nothing. So I would tell them, and I would write them long ass messages like, bro, this is what I did, you do this, you do that, mental toughness goes a long way. And sometimes I would be like, bro, writing this message again is gonna take forever. Here's my fucking number, call me and I'll tell you. And that's what I did. So I already had a following, and anytime I would share a t-shirt or something, somebody would be like, oh bro, is that your t-shirt? I'll buy it. And I'm like, no, it's my friend's t-shirt, you can buy it here and go. So I knew, I was like, you know what, maybe I should start like a clothing company or something. But I didn't, even though I buy t-shirts that have like skulls on them and like guns, I think that's kind of whack sometimes. I'm like, bro, I don't want to I don't want to be that guy because there's so many of them.
So many of them.
I wanted
It's
to.
all the same shit over and over. Yeah.
It is.
Exactly.
And we keep buying it.
Yeah.
So I was like, and overseas I wore skeleton gloves and a skeleton bandana. So I'm like, I always have a thing for Halloween. And then one day my son drew this pumpkin right here.
Dope.
Oh, cool.
He drew the pumpkin, and I was like, you know what? This is going to be the logo for my company. And I made 200 stickers, and this was like literally the last money I had to fucking create a Shopify and 200 fucking stickers. And I told my wife, I was like, look, if this doesn't work, I promise I'm done. But I already had a following, so I was like, hey, who wants a sticker? And within fucking an hour, all 200 stickers were gone. And I'm writing fucking envelopes to my wife to Germany, Italy, all over the fucking U.S. because I'd already had an influence from military dudes, and they're all over the world. So then I was like, you know what? I'll drop a T-shirt, and then I started going on bigger podcasts. First I started off small, then I went on Andy Stump's podcast. He's been on Joe Rogan like 12 times by now. Fieldcraft, Mike Rillin's podcast, Black Rifle Coffee, and then I started getting more sales, and I was making like 10 to 15 grand a month. But my purpose was never to make money. It was to do stuff for the community. So I was like, well, I've tried to spend money on myself. It does nothing for me. And I'm like, okay, well, what the fuck do I do with all this money? And now it's almost like COVID time, right? Or it is COVID time. People are losing their jobs and stuff like that. So I was like, fuck, how do I help? So then I started buying Target gift cards and putting $400 on them and scratching off the information and being like, look, man, if you have children or elderly and you lost your job, fucking here, buy shit. And I would do that, and then I would drop off food at food banks that I used to fucking be there as a kid. And then because to train for the special operations community, you need gear and shit's expensive. A pair of boots can almost run you like $200. So I would be like, hey, if you have a contract, send me a picture. I'll send you the money for boots and a rucksack, because the rucksacks are kind of expensive. I did that. I started doing more bigger events, and I was just throwing it all back to the community. And so the company is called OG Pumpkin. We sell rash guards, t-shirts, stickers, and then it really blew up to the point where we have almost 800 people with an OG Pumpkin tattoo design on them.
That's cool.
And
Like that skull shit,
and people believe in the mission, because
Changing the logo to pumpkins now.
Pumpkins are in, skulls are out.
and we're talking dudes from the special operations community, dude from the special operations community in other countries, doctors,
Even Coast Guards.
even the Coast Guard. I'm pretty sure there's somebody with the Coast, and then the Coast Guard that has a fucking.
That's what I wanted to do, so I could chill on the boat and go back home
Yeah. And day drink.
every day. Go back.
That's awesome.
And that's actually how I met Mike O'Dowd, who's the founder of Defense Strategies Group, who's also my boss, and he's my friend. Because on one podcast, somebody was like, hey, we're former special operation guys. We work at this one company. And I'm like, damn, dude, I've not shot in a long time. I've just been going to school and going to the gym and competing. I'm like, I miss shooting. So I went there, and man, my wife could have told you I sounded like a kid, like a little kid when I came back.
It's like meeting your friends again.
I was like, there was this guy and that guy, and we did this and we did that, and I was so fucking happy. Like, I'm happy at the gym. I was happy with the dudes I met at school. Like, school is cool, but like, that is my passion. That's my community. That's my people. So I'm like, fuck yeah. And I met him, and who was the instructor at the course? Mike. So him and I became friends, and then I realized that at the course, it was a vehicle course where they bought cars and we shot from inside and around them and how to fight around vehicles.
That's so fun.
And what I realized is that there's the driver and the passenger, and when you run drills, that's the max people that you can have in the car. So then you had like 14 people waiting on the side, talking, having a good time, and I saw that they were becoming friends and socializing, because sometimes I would invite people and they'd be like, bro, I don't watch the UFC, and I was like, it's not about the UFC, it's just about hanging out. Yeah. And so some of them would be hesitant, but what veteran would not be hesitant to be like, hey, you want to shoot at fucking cars? So then 2 years ago, I ran like fucking 8 of those, and they each cost me anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 dollars, and I would invite veterans and be like, fuck, we're gonna fucking buy 3 cars, we're gonna shoot out of them, I'm gonna have a taco guy, a massage lady, a juice bar. I threw everything on there because I didn't create OG Pumpkin to get fucking rich out of that. It was because I was in a dark place. I needed a community. I needed to keep my purpose. So then when Mike decided to start Defense Strategies Group, that's where I met Don too, one of the first times. That company that I first worked at kind of fell apart. Mike started a company and he had basically tryouts. He invited all the special operation guys he knew within the community, and he wanted to see not only who kept up with their skills you can regain, but who would mesh kind of well. And after
two guys who didn't make Delta would probably get along pretty good.
Yeah.
We can talk about that a lot.
Corner by themselves.
Just keep talking about that for a while.
So then after that, I got the call and he's like, hey man, you want to be part of DSG? And I was like, dude, fuck yeah. So that was 4 years ago, and now we're about to open a training facility in Beverly Hills. Wow. We have the soft opening Monday. The big opening is August 1st. We've trained triple letter agencies, SWAT teams, PDs, civilians. We were on the Stallone show. We trained the Stallone show we were the premiere episode for season 2. I've been worked with National Geographic, History Channel because of DSG. And
all the shows that you used to watch.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's sick.
That's really cool.
And, Mike started Defense Strategies Group to give us a job, but also that was his OG Pumpkin. He was like, man, I'm missing something. I when I shoot, I'm at the range, I like it. I make cool people. And so now DSG to me doesn't feel like work. It feels like I get to hang around, fuck around with my friends, and we teach people, life-saving skills. So that's kind of basically where I'm at, and I've met great people. You met Mike. Mike was on here. Don was on here. Cameron is an entertaining guy. His Netflix show just dropped, a couple of weeks ago. Benji, who maybe you know him, Benji Manabog.
He's in Israel right now, right?
Yeah, he's the dude. His wife is who I donated a kidney to.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Wow. And so now I'm in a good place, and I've been in a good place. So now that's what Mike and I do is not only do we teach people surviving skills, but we're showing veterans hey man, there's a future once you get out. You'll have to work. There might be some dark moments, but you can make it happen. Which is why now more than ever, as much as Mike used to talk shit on me about being on social media too much, now he's on it and sharing because he realizes.
I saw him shouting out all his camera guys too.
But yeah, man.
Well, dope. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for sharing. That's awesome.
Damn.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.